Hello everyone, very different kind of blog today, in that all of my blogs so far have been completely different. There's been some about bikes, there's been some about chainsawing, there's been some about all different kinds of bits and bobs, but this one is a really special one, and it's one that I've wanted to do for a while, which is to start talking about mental health. I've had mental health problems all of my life, and I've worked really hard on my own mental health, but I've also worked really hard to try and help other people as well. And so this was a really fun one that I wanted to do. The reason that I'm doing this now is because I'm very, very busy at the moment. It's the middle of summer, we've got loads of events on, and I haven't quite got time to go out and film lots of cool stuff and edit it. But I do have time now to sit down for 20 minutes and just talk about mental health stuff, really, which takes very little editing, and all I have to do is sit here and talk to a camera, which is nice. So yeah, that's what we're going to do today. And today this is my 5 tips for dealing with depression. So as someone who's experienced depression a lot, as someone who has worked to help people with depression before, these are my sort of tips, as it were, little bits of advice, things that have worked for me. I need to put a very important disclaimer at the start of this, which is that I am not a mental health professional. I'm on my way to being a mental health professional. I've just completed level 2 of my counselling skills course, so I'm on the way to train to be a counsellor. But I am not a doctor, a clinician, a physician, anything else like that. I'm just a guy on the internet for all intents and purposes, and the advice that I am giving here is not advice that I am saying will work for everyone. It might not work for anybody. Actually, these are just things that have worked for me in the past. These are things that have made me feel better about my mental health. These are things that have helped to get me out of slumps that I am in. If you watch this video and you want to take some of this advice, then please do, but you have to be analytical with it. You have to think about yourself and your own mental health, and take this with a pinch of salt. I can't be responsible for people who take any of this advice. I think it'd be very hard to take any of this advice and go and do harm to yourself, because it's all about eating healthily, really, and stuff like that. That's one of the bits of advice. But it is very, very important for me to say at the start of this that this is not one-size-all-fits advice. And that, I think, is basically that should be my first thing for people to understand, is that mental health is not one-size-fits-all. It is not something. Some people might have mental health conditions which require medication to make them better. And I'm not going to recommend any I'm not going to recommend any medication in this blog, because that would be crazy and not my place to do that. Also, for me personally, medication has never worked in my regard, but it might for other people. So yeah, these are nice, simple, general things, but things that you might not have thought of if you are struggling with mental health problems like depression or anxiety, which I've struggled with a lot in the past. So yeah, if this helps, great. And if you have any tips or anything that you think might help people's mental health and well-being, please chuck them in the comments below. I think, having said that big long disclaimer about how I'm trying not to take responsibility for anything that happens to people who take my advice or take any of this advice, I think we're all very scared. I think a lot of people are very scared to give out advice, and I think there is bad advice out there. I think there really is. But we're not going to get anywhere if everyone just sits down and says, nope, I don't want to say anything because I'm too scared. So yeah, let's all share a little bit more about things and go from there. Okay, so number 1, the first thing I want to talk about, which I found really helpful for me, is identifying what your depression is, if it's depression, if it's anxiety. And by that I mean identifying the difference between whether you have what I think of as clinical depression, which is, in other words, depression which happens for no real reason that you can understand or tell. It just you just feel depressed, or traumatic depression, which is depression which happens after a traumatic incident in your life and you feel sad because a bad thing happened. It's very important, I feel, to identify what it is that you're actually struggling with, what the hurdle is that's in front of you, because that in itself gives you a better ability to attack the problem, if you want to use a slightly aggressive metaphor. So when my father died in 2016, my father died and I was in a very unpleasant relationship, and I was between houses, and that all was what I would call traumatic depression. That is depression that happened, that I felt sad because bad things had happened, and that really, really sucked. And that actually, to be honest, is probably the worst period of depression I've ever had, and it took me a long time to get back out of that, but it helped knowing that, yeah, that was traumatic depression, but it was something I was depressed, and I had a greater disposition to be depressed about those things. Because for some people, a relative dying or passing away. I mean, my dad was very old and he'd had a good life, I think, and so I didn't really have anything to feel particularly sad about, but it still hit me a bit. For some people, that's sort of water off a duck's back. And to be honest, the other things that were going on then, like the very unpleasant relationship that I was in, I look back now at, and with perspective, I can kind of laugh about. And at the time, a lot of other people might have dealt with it better than I did, but I didn't deal with it particularly well. I was very, very depressed for a long time, but it helped to be able to say, because I thought, to start with, I thought, well, I've got clinical depression, which I knew that I had, and I'm only feeling sad because of something in my brain which isn't working right, when actually I was actually really sad because really sad things were happening. And it was so helpful for someone to say that to me, to say, you know, you have a right to feel upset, it's okay, and vice versa as well. You know, I am talking to you right now from lovely sunny Falmouth. You can't quite see, so I'll show you. Let's show you where I am now. So this is my lovely home in beautiful Falmouth. Very, very lucky to live somewhere as nice as this. I'm very, very lucky that I live with a wonderful person, and I do a job that I really enjoy. And yeah, my life in many instances couldn't be better. But I still feel very sad sometimes. I still feel very depressed sometimes. And there's not much that I can do about that, but knowing that it is not because there is something missing in my life, knowing that it's not because there's something subconscious, or at least I don't think it is, but genuinely just because sometimes my serotonin levels drop and I feel sad. That's it. And a lot of people will go, my God, you live in the nicest place in the world. You've got all these wonderful things. How can you feel sad? And I think that's a big and really important thing for people to understand, is that depression can show up at any time to anyone. It really can. You know, I'm a professional mountain biker, which is a dream job I've wanted to do since I was a child. A month ago, I was on stage at Glastonbury with one of my best mates performing on my trials bike. And actually, if you were at that show in Glastonbury, you'll know what I said afterwards, which was that I basically at the end of the show said, thank you everyone for watching. By the way, I'm also a mental health sufferer, and this has been, you know, made me feel very anxious being on this stage, but thank you for making me feel so welcome. And I got a huge round of applause, which was really nice. But still, I've done all these wonderful, amazing things, and I live in this wonderful place, but I still feel sad. It just happens. So that's tip number one, is identify the difference between whether the sadness and the depression and anxiety that you are feeling is because you naturally are disposed to feel sad and you have an actual condition like genuine depression, or because really sad things have just happened in your life. And both of them are very legitimate reasons for being depressed, upset, anxious, sad, any of those things. But it will help. I think it will help if you can just sort of sit down and analytically think, which one is it? What am I really feeling here? I feel like it will help you to, you know, defeat the beast a little bit. Not entirely, not that's not going to fix all of your problems, but I think it will help a bit. So give that a try if that can help. Number 2, and this is probably one of the more ones that I should be careful about saying, but I'm going to go ahead and say it anyway. So number 2 in my sort of tips for dealing with depression is know that sometimes it's going to be bad. Know that sometimes you're just going to feel really, really bad. Not everyone, and some people feel bad and some people feel worse. I don't think you should indulge in it. I don't think you should wallow in the depression and the sadness and stuff. But I mean, from someone who has broken their legs, I broke both of my legs when I was a teenager. I also broke my leg again when I was about 22, I think. And there's almost no comparison, really. I would say having depression is far worse than having my legs broken. But I remember when I broke my leg, and I remember trying to almost in my head to run away from the pain. It was excruciating, there's no question about it. But actually, it almost felt better sort of just going, no, this is going to hurt. I know that this is going to hurt. And accepting that was a part of the battle. But what goes with that is also knowing that it's not going to last forever. It's hopefully going to get better. Now, some people will have depression or mental health issues where they will feel bad and it will continue to get worse. That's where I feel there's another tip coming in a minute, which is about getting help, and that is where I feel that you really need to get help. If you feel really bad for a prolonged period of time, then it's not something that's just going to go away. But in the same time, there are things that will pass, like pain, whether it's physical or psychological or emotional. I remember, again, when I broke my leg, the paramedic came and they gave me gas and air and they gave me morphine, and it made me feel better for a while until they operated on my leg and I woke up in the recovery room and I was in more pain and I needed more morphine. Some things there is no morphine for the soul. Some people will say, oh, alcohol will make you feel better, or cigarettes or recreational drugs or anything. From someone that's drunk a lot of alcohol in my life, I can wholeheartedly say I don't think that's going to make you feel much better. I think it'll be like a stopgap for a little bit, probably a couple of hours, and then you get the hangover and you feel worse again. But knowing that the pain is there and that the pain is real, and people who have dealt with depression will tell you that it is real pain. Genuinely, I remember it being like here in my chest. And I think I understood then why people call it heartbreak. Because I remember thinking, is there something wrong with my heart? Because I remember feeling like getting actual serious chest pains, like in between my ribs here, and being like, I might actually be in real trouble here. And then I realised that's actually one of the physical symptoms for me of depression. So knowing that it hurts, knowing that it's going to be bad, and the thing I've put in brackets underneath that, I've got my little list just down here on the side. The thing I've put in brackets underneath that is keep busy. Now, Boris Johnson recently, I can't believe I'm bringing up Boris Johnson. Boris Johnson recently wrote a blog where he said that work was the solution to depression. And I and many other people were very, very scathing of that. And he used the example that Winston Churchill was, someone who dealt with a black dog of depression and who made himself better through work. What I dislike about what Johnson wrote is that he's just said, well, people just need to work more. That's it. And that was basically, I read his whole article, and he was like, people just need to work harder, and that will get them out of depression. I think that's an incredibly generalised and stupid thing to say. And I think that's the kind of thing where my disclaimer at the start, really comes in trying to just give that sort of patch of like, one thing will fix everything. But, and I sincerely dislike Boris Johnson as a person. I'm very scared about the idea of him becoming Prime Minister. I think it's only going to be a bad thing for this country. Him or Jeremy Hunt, or either way, whatever. But when you are depressed, sometimes, in some circumstances, you do just need to keep busy. Sometimes you just need to get on with the day-to-day. Sometimes you need to wallow in it. Sometimes you need to sit there and go, this sucks, and just be there. Like when I broke my leg about half a mile from where I'm sat now, up on Pendennis Point, when I was riding my mountain bike, and it was about 7-8 years ago, and it's like 9 years ago. But either way, I was just sat there, and I was like, I need to just deal with this pain right now. I can't run away from it. The ambulance isn't here yet. Got my friend James was there holding my hand, and that was so helpful. But I had to just sit there and go, this hurts. This hurts, and there's nothing that I can do about that. I just have to sit here with the pain and cry and scream and swear and, flex my fingers, do whatever I could to just be like, this is pain. There's nothing else I can do about that. At other times, you just need to get on with life. The 3 months following breaking my leg, I wrote a book because I was sat there and I was like, my leg hurts, but I'm not actually now incapacitated by the pain, so I need to just get on with something. And I wrote my first full-length book called The Chaos, which is available on Amazon if you'd like to go and look for it. I wrote that whilst I had a broken leg and actually whilst I was very depressed as well. But sometimes, yes, you do just need to keep busy. And by busy, I don't necessarily mean work, which is what I did not like about what Johnson was saying. Sometimes you just need to go and jump in the sea and go for a swim, or sometimes you need to just do some cross-stitching, or sometimes you need to go and just play a game on your phone or something, or sometimes you need to just go and work, maybe. But just do something to just know that this phase is going to pass, hopefully, and you just need to tide the time over. And again, that's what worked for me. And it was a horrible process getting there. It might work for you. Give it a try. I don't know. I don't know if it will help, but it helped me. Okay, number 3, eat well, stay healthy, and be active. This is kind of a bit like number 2 in the sort of keeping busy kind of thing. But I saw a really cool meme the other day, and it had Jim Carrey's face on it, and it had a quote next to it, and whether Jim Carrey actually said it or not, I don't know. But it basically said, I believe that depression is a real thing, but if you are not eating well, staying healthy, getting help, surrounding yourself with positive people, then you're not giving yourself a fighting chance. And whether he said that or not, I think it's a brilliant quote, and so that's who I'm attributing that quote to, even though he might not have said it, but it was on the internet, so yeah, what can I say? But I think that's absolutely right. If you don't give yourself the best possible fighting chance against depression, then it's going to win, in most cases. But eating well, I think, and being active and staying healthy they're not going to cure anything, but they might help. And in a lot of cases, I have seen them help. And just when you are depressed, when I have been depressed is a better way, as I should put it. When I've been depressed, I have had the urge to just say, fuck it. I'm going to go and drink for 10 hours. I'm going to go to the pub and I'm going to drink. And I can drink a lot. And I'm going to eat dirty, greasy food. And I'm not going to bother brushing my teeth. And I'm probably not going to change my clothes for a couple of days. Now, short of all of those things making you a fairly unpleasant person for everyone else to be around, they're actually making you feel more unpleasant about yourself as well. Because, well, for me particularly, I would go out and I'd drink, and obviously alcohol, addictive drug in itself. Then it's got all the sugar in it, so it's got that sugar high, pushing up dopamine in your brain and stuff like that. You feel great for a little while. You feel wonderful. You feel like, I'm living my best life. No, I'm getting drunk. I'm eating McDonald's. I'm smoking cigarettes. It's all great and stuff. But then you actually kind of go, oh dear, afterwards, and you feel, I do feel quite guilty, because I'm like, oh God, that's not good. And as we all know, this then can very easily become a vicious cycle where you go, oh, I feel really awful. Well, I've ruined my life, being overdramatic. Might as well go out and get drunk again, or and eat more junk food and continue the cycle that way, which is obviously not great. But yeah, it's not good at all. But actually eating healthily, actually going like, right, I'm going to go, if you eat meat, I'm going to go and get some really nice meat from the butchers. I'm not going to buy it from the supermarket. I'm going to go to the butchers and buy some really nice meat. And I'm going to go and buy some fresh fruit and vegetables to eat with it. And I'm not going to eat sweets and chocolate and stuff. And also, something I'm actually doing at the moment, which is making me feel way better about things, I'm doing intermittent fasting. So I'm only eating between 12 and 8 o'clock in the day. And one of the things I was getting a bit depressed about recently was my weight. I'm 32 now. I was getting a little bit tubby, so I was like, you know what? Which is, if whatever body shape you have, as long as you're happy with it, that's fine. I wasn't happy with my body shape, and I wanted to change it, so that was my choice. But actually, not eating as much and eating at a bit more of a sort of regular timescales. It's actually just gone past 12 o'clock whilst I'm making this video. So if I start talking faster, that's because I really want to eat. But that's helped me, just having a little bit more of a regimen, a little bit more of a, right, I'm going to eat between this time, and the things I'm going to eat are going to be good. A long time ago, I used to have like 4 or 5 sugars in every cup of coffee that I had, and now I have none. And now the idea of having sugar actually makes me go, no thank you. But it was hard to sort of wean myself off that a little bit, but I knew that the sugar was being a little bit of a crutch to help with things. And again, this is what worked for me, might not work for you. Have a look and see, are there little things in your life that you can change that will make things be a little bit better? I don't know. I also used to drink a lot. And sometimes I used to drink a lot because I was perfectly happy and just I wanted to drink, and yeah, why not? But other times I did used to drink a lot because I was doing it to, I don't know, self-destruct a bit or whatever, either way. But just being that bit more conscious that those things may feel like they're helping. Like, you know, when I broke my leg, the first thing that I did was ask James to give me a cigarette. And right there and then, I don't think there's ever a situation where you need a cigarette, but I felt like I needed a cigarette. But after that, when I actually broke my leg, you know what? It was 2010 I broke my leg. I didn't drink for I think it was 3 months following that. I didn't drink. I said to myself, I'm not going to have a drink until I can walk into the pub without crutches. And I think that was one of the best decisions I've ever made, because I think I had a broken leg, it was the middle of summer, and I had nothing to do, and I'd also lost quite a lot of money because I was supposed to be riding bikes for someone's team that year, and I couldn't because I had a broken leg. I think I would have lost more money and probably felt more depressed if I'd gone out and drunk loads. So I'm glad that I didn't, which was, you know, really nice. But yeah, so eating well and, you know, drinking and doing drugs and everything else, if you have to do them in moderation. As someone who still drinks and smokes myself, you know, I do, but I do them in moderation. Yeah, that's a really good side of this part of it. The other side of it that I would say is being active. And I'm very lucky in that I live somewhere like Cornwall where there is a never-ending number of things. You know, just looking out of my window now, I can see a lot of people out on boats. I can see kayaks and stuff. I can see people walking up and down the street. It's all looking really fun and nice and good. But wherever you are, there's got to be, even just going out for a walk, going out and getting some fresh air. Again, when I have had depression, it has felt like just sitting in these 4 walls can make me, you know, think that the outside world is somewhere I don't want to go. but it can really make a difference just going for a walk, even if you just walk to the end of your road and do that one day, and then maybe go, you know, to the end of the block or whatever the next day, and then maybe go for a walk out of town the day after that. For me, I usually put my wetsuit on and go and jump in the sea, or I go and ride my bike, or I go climbing. I have had depression for most of my life, and I know that I am into a lot of different extreme sports, not because I'm an adrenaline junkie, but because they are coping strategies for me, because they do help me be distracted, not because I'm doing something dangerous, just because I'm doing something that's burning a few calories, and being active usually is enough to just help me get out of whatever little slumps I am in. And hey, I'm 32 now. I've been a professional mountain biker for 10 years. I run my own company. I would say I'm a successful person. I've not got the most money in the bank or anything, not by far, but you know, I think my life is pretty. I feel very lucky and fortunate for it. But it still takes me. Sometimes it will take me a while to get off the sofa. Sometimes it will take me a while to get my bike down off one of the racks and put my helmet on and go outside, because I'm like, oh, can I be bothered? And then after like 20 minutes of being out on the bike, I'm like, I'm so glad I've gone out and did this. I'm so glad I did it. So yeah, I remember one of the worst periods of depression that I had was when I was about 25, and it was December here in Cornwall, and there was storms that were going on for about 3 weeks, and there was nothing I could do basically. It was just, yeah, and I felt really bad about that. So eat well, stay active, and do everything you can to just do little extra things to keep you healthy. Give yourself a fighting chance from the inside out, to make yourself feel better. Leave the junk food, leave the alcohol, leave the drugs, and just in moderation if you need to. Don't have to go cold turkey, but just wind everything down a little bit. Maybe that will help. Give it a try. Okay, I had a quick break there to just have some breakfast, so I'm all full now, feeling better, which is good. So what was I saying? Moving on, number 4, which is get help. Now this kind of ties in with number 3, which is all about, I said, eating well, staying healthy, being active. But in that same way, those things are designed to give you the best possible chance against battling or fighting or dealing with depression, however you want to feel about it. But also, the best thing, one of the best things to actually give you a fighting chance is to go and get help from someone. And in this day and age, there's never been so much help available. There needs to be more still, definitely, but we have lots of opportunities now in order to get help. One of the best things is that so much of the stigma itself is dispelled. So even if you just go and want to talk to your friends about it, if they're willing to listen, it's a really great thing to be able to just talk about it. There are other options as well, getting professional help from like counsellors, CBTs, so cognitive behavioural therapists, psychotherapists who do more of the sort of Freudian side of things. But either way, there are options out there, and Google is your friend here, or the internet or search engine, whichever you like to use. They can be your friend here in looking for what is available in your local area. Now, thinking in just Cornwall, we've got lots of really good options here. I know that for some people, like getting counselling can be a bit prohibitive because of the cost. But I know, for example, a general counselling session at the moment I think is about 35-40 quid. Actually here with Cornwall College, there is a really good opportunity to get low cost counselling. It's like 5 quid a session, where you can have a counselling session with one of the student counsellors, which is what I'm studying to be at the moment. So that's an option. If there's something like that in your area, that's a great thing to do. There's also just regular counselling available. If you're a university student, most universities I know through their student support services have free counselling available to students, which I know helped me hugely when I was a student and I was studying. I had counselling free and available to me, which is really good. You can ask your workplace, do they have a counselling scheme? And maybe if you work for a bigger company, they might have some scheme whereby you can get free counselling through that. Again, when I worked for the university, after I was at the university, there was a scheme where I could get counselling for free, which was really, really helpful. There's also something I really want to mention, which is getting bigger now, And I think there are a lot of the stigma around this, which is support groups. There used to be a lot of stigma about that it was just for like Alcoholics Anonymous and stuff like that, which is, you know, still, as far as I'm aware, AA still exists and is an amazing thing. I've never been there myself, but if that's the kind of issue that you have, looking up AA can be a really good thing to do. But there's also, I know here in Cornwall, there's an incredible support group for men. It's called Man Down. I've not been involved with them, but I've just been following them on Facebook and social media, and the impact that they appear to be having is fantastic. Really, really dedicated guys who have been setting up group counselling or group therapy sessions, however you want to think of it, for men to just meet and confidentially talk about their issues. And I've seen Man Down grow from, I think their first sessions were either in Penryn or Falmouth just recently, like a year ago, and they've now got sessions all over Cornwall. They have hundreds of guys coming and getting involved, and it's really great that there is something specifically for men, because we are often thought of, there's a lot of stigma which says men don't have mental health problems and men, you know, shouldn't talk about their problems and you should just man up, which is really great that they called this service Man Down, which is to say that, you know, that some men do fall down in their lives and need help with that. And as far as I can tell, they've done wonderful things. There's also, I know there's another service, another support group in the area. I think it's called She Says, which is a female-only counselling group, although I'm sure there are mixed groups around as well, where you can go and have group therapy sessions and stuff like that. As far as I'm aware, it's completely free. It's run by volunteers, and you can just go and talk to people. If you're comfortable with doing that, that can be an incredible option. But the genesis of all of that comes from this idea, which is something that I hold very dear to my heart and very true to my heart, is that just talking about things can make them better. Just talking about a problem, actually vocalizing it, the actual action of saying it out loud, can make it more manageable. It sounds crazy, but a lot of people get a lot of catharsis from just talking about their problems and issues, because inside your head, when you have a problem, it can multiply and percolate and get bigger and bigger and bigger until you think there's nothing I can do about it. But actually getting it out, even just writing it down on paper, can be a fantastic way of doing it. I've given myself a lot of self-therapy over the years just by writing down my problems. And in fact, I'll hold my hands up and say, totally honestly, doing this right now, talking about this and putting it on the internet, is helping me. It's making me feel better about my problems and my issues by just saying them out loud. I don't know the science behind it or why it's actually working, but it seems to be. And it's a fantastic way of doing it. And that will work for some people. For other people, going back to the therapy route, you know, some people may probably need or will need more specific help in terms of getting things like help from a psychoanalyst or a psychotherapist, or someone who can prescribe medication to help you deal with these things. I know, you know, some people got stuff stuck in my teeth. So for some people, just talking about their problems isn't enough. I mean, if you have an issue like actual genuine psychosis or schizophrenia, then you may need more advanced help. But the key to all of this is just knowing that there is help there. Knowing that there is help out there. That the world is a pretty nasty place. The world is quite cruel and unpleasant, but there is help available here and now. And actually, almost every interaction I've ever had with another human being about my mental health has been a positive one, has been one that people have listened and given time to and people actually care about. It's fantastic that the stigma is changing so much now, where we're saying that mental health matters as much as physical health. And it's like, if you had, you know, if I had when I broke my leg, I wasn't just going to go, oh, well, I can't talk to anyone about this, I might feel weak. People might say, oh, he broke his leg, what a weakling. No one's ever said that to me. Any of the times I've injured myself, they've gone, oh, that really sucks, and given me as much help as is available to offer. In the same way, your mental health should be treated the same, if not with a higher paramount, you know, of importance. Because broken bones, once they've been splintered and you know, are healing up on their own, they will heal up on their own. Your mental health, if you leave it be, it's not going to get better. Just by thinking, oh, that's a problem, it'll go away and hopefully tomorrow I'll feel better. For some people, it might do. For most of us, getting some help will be the first step to help it and to help you. So yeah, that's number 4, get help. And number 5, the last one I've got on the list, I've just written, it says, don't pretend it isn't there. And that kind of ties in with all 4 of the things that we've had before, is don't pretend that it's just something that's going to go away. Don't pretend that it's something that either only you have, or the other thing, which is quite a big problem, is thinking there's something that everyone has, and thinking that, oh, well, everyone deals with stuff like this and they don't talk about it, so why should I? Don't do that. If you have an issue or a problem, stop. Just stop what you're doing in your life, take stock, analyze it, and think, is this more than just having a bit of a bum day? And consider whether you need any of those 4 options that came before, whether you need to identify what the issue is, whether you need to do more things to keep yourself busy, or whether you need to be more proactive in your own personal health and hygiene and everything else, or if, as I said in step number 4, you actually need to go and get some help. But they are the key things, I think, and the last one I think ties that all together, because it is so important to not just think that your problems are going to go away. And I think I had a conversation with someone else who was on my counselling course the other day, and they said that they thought that everybody should have counselling, and I totally agree. I think everyone at some point in their life should check in with another person about their mental health and just see how they're doing, because unchecked mental health can lead to a decline in your own emotions and psychology and psyche and everything else, but that can also lead to quite unpleasant consequences for other people. And I'm not just saying, like, it could be unpleasant for your family or your friends or people around you. Not that you should, look at it in like a sort of being a selfish kind of way. When you're dealing with mental health, you have to kind of be the main goal is making you better, and once you're better, that will hopefully in turn help out other people. But when you look at what unchecked mental health can actually lead to, Donald Trump. That's basically it. There have been lots and lots of studies and papers written, especially in the last 4 years, the last 3 years since Donald Trump became president of the United States, where people have gone, he is a mentally unwell person. He's a narcissist. He has got inferiority issues. He has got delusions of epic proportions. And that has led to suffering. And that is, I think, one of the goals of humanity, one of the main goals of humanity. We say we need to fix climate change. We say that we need to save animal species. We say that we need to eradicate poverty. The goal above that, what we're actually aiming for, should always be to reduce suffering. That should be it. And when you look at it like, someone like Donald Trump, who's probably never sat down with a psychologist or a psychiatrist or a counsellor or talked about any of his problems ever, because it looks like he doesn't ever want to admit that he has problems, not doing that has led to other people suffering. And that can't be seen as at what cost? At the cost of his own personal, delusions that he's a wonderful person. I don't believe that can ever be considered worthwhile. So yeah, that's where unchecked mental health can lead to, in my opinion. Could be wrong, maybe Donald Trump is absolutely fine and is a wonderful person, and he really is making America great again, and in doing so making the world great. I don't think so. No. But considering that you're probably not Donald Trump, if you are Donald Trump and you're watching this, hi, do share this. It'd be lovely to spread some more, love and help around the world. And you have a very big following, so yeah, help us out. But if you're not Donald Trump and you are just like me, a relatively regular person, then think about those 5 things. Think about identifying what is an issue in your head, if it is at all one. Think about keeping busy. Think about your own health and hygiene and keeping yourself active and well. Think about getting help. And whatever you do, don't think that it's not a problem. Don't think that it's not something that's worth someone else's time. Don't think that you should feel ashamed about going and getting help with anything at all. I have seen firsthand, not just talking about Donald Trump now, I'm talking about people like my father, for example. I have seen firsthand what not getting help can lead to. And in many cases it can be horrible. So it's hugely important, I think, for everyone to check their mental health. And whether that's just checking in with friends or taking any of those other steps to try and make a difference to themselves to make you feel better, I think that's a hugely important thing. Okay, so I'm going to wrap up now. First of all, thank you very much for watching the video. I hope it's been informative, maybe a bit entertaining. Hopefully it's been something interesting. I want to reiterate again that these are just bits of advice that I am giving because they have helped me. They might not help you. I think in a lot of cases they probably will. But again, be analytical, take time, think about them, and in whatever safest way as possible is, because I'm saying to people, go and, exercise and stuff. But if you have some other condition which prevents you from exercising, obviously don't go and do that if it will exacerbate things and make it worse. But these are very generalized things which have helped me along the way. And if they help you a bit, then great. If you think I'm wrong about anything, if you think I'm completely off the mark on some things, then please let me know in the comments below. Whilst doing this video, I've thought of about 10 other things that I think I really should mention, but I want to keep this relatively short. I think we're about the half-hour mark now, because I've been talking for quite a long time. But yeah, I'll do some of those things in another video, and if you've got any input or feedback, then yeah, please let us know. Please share this video as well if you think it's helpful and if you think that other people could do with hearing some of the things that I've said. Not just because I want more people to subscribe to my channel so that I can make money off doing this and help myself. I'll be totally honest, yes, that is a goal. I would like to do more YouTube stuff and have more time to do it. But if I've helped one person today by making this video, then I'm happy. I'm perfectly happy. So yeah, enjoy. It's a wonderful sunny day here in Cornwall. I hope the sun is shining wherever you are as well. And yeah, I look forward to talking to you guys again sometime soon. I might actually see if I can get some other people involved in this next time. See if I can get some of my friends who have also had issues and stuff, or know people who've had issues, to come in and talk about it. I think that could be really fun. But yeah, otherwise enjoy, have a lovely day, and I'll see you all soon. Bye-bye.